All right, let's talk a little bit about assessing user experience. So what should you test in terms of user experience to make sure that you're providing the best possible website for your users? So the first thing you want to look at is user intent. So what is a user looking to accomplish on your pages? This could be a few things. So if you have an e-commerce website, they might be looking to purchase a specific type of clothing or a specific type of product, and you need to build pages and the experience around what they're looking for. What really helps with this is actually asking users and customers what they want and what they expect from your website. Don't assume that you know what they want, because it might be different than what an actual customer would want versus you on the brand side. Another thing you need to look at is points of friction. So one good way to test this is if you see in analytics a high bounce rate, which is the percentage of users that close out of a website on a specific page, and the higher that is, the worse it is. So a lot of times when websites have a really high bounce rate, one specific page, then usually the point of friction is that page. So for instance, if you had a really high bounce rate on the second slide of your checkout process, and that was where users could customize their order, that might show that your ordering process might be way too hard to understand and way too complicated, and users just get sick of it and they leave. So you want to look for points of friction and test that. Do an A/B test to figure out what's going to work best and what's going to lower the bounce rate or cause more sales. So besides lowering the bounce rate, another thing you can look at is, did your changes result in more sales? Because that's going to show you that it made the journey of the buyer a lot easier. You also want to think about the influence of website design on user experience. So I know we talked about layout, but you also want to think about the trends and what's popular in terms of website design. So a lot of times usability is always changing. There's always new software you can use or new plugins on WordPress, for example. So you always want to be looking how those types of things can make the user experience easier, and test those and see if they work well for your audience. And then finally, navigation. So you can look in the analytics of your website to see how your users are navigating a site, and to see where they're dropping off, see if there's page errors through the navigation, things like that. Just making sure that anyone who's using the navigation can find the information that they're looking for. So let's go through a couple of bad examples of website design. This was really fun for me to look at. So this site, Cloud9 Walkers, is a really bad example of website design because there's no call to action that actually could complete a conversion. There's a huge button that says find us on Facebook, but that's actually taking them outside of the website, which is something you don't want to do. There's also no menu. So if I wanted to go to other pages, I have to scroll down to see their list of pages. They don't really have a navigation menu. The website text is a little hard to read, even though it's black. It's a little hard to read on that background. It doesn't lead with how it benefits the user. So if this website was offering horse training, it's not saying, these are award-winning trainers that offer affordable services, something that's going to engage the reader. It just kind of talks about what they have instead of the benefits. This design is also not mobile friendly. So if you looked at it on a phone, you have to scroll through to kind of read the whole page on the site. So another bad example here is an art department website, actually Yale University, which is in the States. So as you can see, the text at the top is in red, so it's really hard to read. You can barely read it. The navigation menu, there's no spacing, so it's hard to use and hard to understand and really confusing. The site also isn't responsive, so if you look at it on your phone, you have to scroll over and everything gets mushed up. You can't see what's going on. There's no call to actions. There's a huge menu on the left-hand side, but you can't really tell what I'm supposed to do with the information. It's kind of like information overload. And with user experience, you want to make sure that you're kind of leading users where you want them to go. And this website doesn't do a good job of that.